What's up, 3K fam? Shout out to the big man above, man. Hopefully everybody having a blessed day, man. Hopefully everybody getting home safely on this beautiful Sunday. About to be Monday. You know what I mean? Ladies and gentlemen, we got the luckiest people who survived the impossible. You guys already see the title of the video, man. Hopefully everybody having a good day and everybody made home safely, man. Let's go.
An ambulance. Unfortunately, both emergency vehicles in the area were occupied, forcing him to wait in that state for an entire hour. When he finally arrived at the hospital, doctors understood the severity of his condition. The air had separated fat tissue from muscle, filling his abdomen, chest, and even the spaces around his lungs, heart, and behind his eyelids. To help him breathe, doctors inserted a tube through his ribs and into his lungs. As for the trapped air, it had to be
That shit sound painful. Hopefully I was asleep.
expelled naturally through farts, a process that took 3 days. Stephen made a full recovery, and doctors later determined that if the valve had punctured another part of his body, it could have damaged a blood vessel, and he would have died. Joan Murray. Joan Murray was an experienced skydiver, having already completed 35 jumps. It was supposed to be just another
35 jumps, nigga. You been doing this half your life. 35 jumps, nigga, and you still here. Shit, I ain't gonna lie to you, chat. I love to skydive, but one thing about me, I'll be paranoid that the parachute don't work. You know what I'm saying? The parachute don't go. Oh my god.
routine
I might be a catch-up pack of goddamn
dive, and as she plummeted at 120 miles per hour, she attempted to deploy her parachute. I say attempted because it didn't open. After multiple tries, she reached for her reserve parachute, which, to her relief, deployed successfully. However, another problem quickly arose. She began spinning uncontrollably, causing the parachute's cords to tangle into a knot, rendering it useless.
shit.
She crashed into the ground at 80 miles per hour, and upon impact, she heard a loud crack before losing consciousness. Joan fell into a coma and was rushed to the hospital, where doctors performed multiple complex reconstructive surgeries and blood transfusions. The entire right side of her body was crushed, yet incredibly, 2 weeks later, she woke up from the coma and made a full recovery. The reason she survived was just crazy. By pure chance, she landed directly on a fire ant nest, disturbing the venomous
Bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
disturbing the venomous ants. In response, they came out of their nests and swarmed her body, stinging and biting her over 200 times. Fire ant venom, known as solenopsin,
And you still alive 200 times and you was bit by fire ants. So you telling me when you walked across her body, you seen a whole bunch of ants all over that shit? Shit.
stimulates the nervous system. The overwhelming amount of it that was injected into her body kept her heart beating until paramedics arrived, saving her life. Margaret Guire. Margaret was a young Canadian woman who had just married her husband, Herbert, in 1915. To celebrate, they decided to take a trip and boarded the RMS Lusitania in New York City, bound for Liverpool. They were enjoying their trip, having a routine dinner on the ship, when suddenly they heard a loud boom. The ship had been torpedoed by a German submarine. Herbert immediately escorted his wife Margaret to a lifeboat, where she was joined by 3 other women and a baby. However, as she looked up, she saw the ship's massive smokestacks above them, and she feared they might collapse onto their lifeboat. In a moment of panic, she climbed back up the stairs to the deck, while Herbert, believing she was safe, boarded another lifeboat with other passengers. As the Lusitania rapidly sank, Margaret tried to swim away from the wreckage, but her efforts were in vain. A whirlpool formed as the ship submerged, pulling her and 2 other men into one of the smokestacks. Miraculously, a sudden explosion from below blasted her back to the surface, where she was spotted and rescued by a nearby lifeboat. As she looked around, she saw Herbert in another lifeboat crying, believing she had died. Julie McSorley. Julie McSorley and Liz Cottrell were kayaking in San Luis Obispo, California, drawn by a spectacular event, humpback whales feeding on fish in the bay. There were lots of tourists on their boats and kayaks watching the whole thing, and even though whale watching is a popular activity, it comes with important safety precautions. Experts recommend staying at least 300 feet away from the feeding zone to avoid dangerous encounters. Unfortunately, Julie and Liz misjudged the distance. A tightly packed swarm of fish, known as a bait ball, suddenly moved alarmingly close to them, but they weren't the only ones to notice. Their presence had also caught the attention of a humpback whale. Before they had time to react, the whale lunged forward to swallow the fish, but in the process, it also scooped up Julie and Liz. Trapped inside its massive mouth, they probably thought that they were about to be swallowed whole. After all, humpback whales can grow up to 56 feet long, a huge
Shit, that's like 2 school buses,
huge
man.
size from a human perspective. However, despite their enormous mouths, humpback whales have relatively small throats, only about the size of a human fist and capable of stretching to just 15 inches in diameter. They also lack teeth, meaning the 2 women weren't crushed. Luckily, a whale's
Hey, if you guys had to pause the video and check your guys' fist right now, let me know. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 3K fam. Let's go.
natural instinct is to spit out anything that isn't fish, and that's exactly what happened. Moments later, Julie and Liz were spat out from the whale's mouth and surfaced unharmed. Matthew Lowe. Matthew was heading to his factory for a routine shift, just like any other day. Upon arriving, he immediately got to work. As he walked past an automated conveyor belt, he suddenly felt his overall snag on something. Unfortunately, it was the conveyor itself. Before he could react, he was pulled onto the belt and dragged toward a 5-inch opening. Within seconds, his entire body was forced through the narrow tunnel. He could hear the cracks of his bones as the machine spat him out on the other side. Miraculously, he remained conscious. Matthew's agonizing screams alerted his coworkers, who rushed to the scene. What they saw was horrifying. His back was broken in 2 places, his pelvis, ribs, and hips were nearly completely crushed, and his abdomen was severely torn. He was rushed to the hospital, but doctors had little hope for his survival. They even advised his partner to prepare for the worst. However, against all odds, Matthew survived. After 6 surgeries and a month in the hospital, he slowly began to recover. 18 months later, he made a full recovery and even returned to work. Taiba. Taiba, a young Indian girl, went out for a walk when she came across a construction site. Intrigued, she decided to explore the area. The site was filled with debris and half-finished structures, making it extremely risky to navigate, especially without proper equipment or experience. As she walked through the site, she tripped and fell neck-first onto a long metal rod protruding from a brick. Bystanders witnessed the horrifying scene and immediately called for an ambulance. When Taiba arrived at the hospital, doctors were left stunned. Miraculously, the rod had missed all vital nerves and blood vessels in her head. After a 35-minute surgery, doctors successfully removed the rod. Amazingly, she was discharged just 3 days later. Had she fallen just a few inches further forward, she would have died. Frane Selak. Frane Selak is an elderly
Hey, right there, that was God's plan right there, man. It just wasn't your time to leave this earth.
music teacher from Croatia, and he's both the luckiest and unluckiest man on earth. His first crazy experience happened in 1962 when he was on a train. A fault in the tracks caused the train to derail and plunge into the freezing river below. Most passengers either died in the crash or drowned in the submerged train, but Frane miraculously survived with only a broken arm and managed to swim to shore. In 1963, just a year after the train incident, he was on a small plane when, mid-flight, both engines failed. As the aircraft went into a free fall, a malfunctioning door blew open, yanking Frane out of the plane. Without a parachute, he must have thought he was going to die. The plane crashed into a hill, killing all 19 passengers on board. However, Frane survived by landing on a haystack, escaping with only minor injuries. 2 years later, in 1965, he was traveling on a bus that was crossing a bridge. The icy conditions caused the bus's wheels.
I gotta stay away from you, bro. Shit, man. Next day, you know I'm hanging out with you. Next time I'm dead, goddamn. We was running on a school bus. The school bus popped his tire. We rolled over. Everybody was dead but you. Like, what the hell was that?
To lock up, sending the vehicle crashing through the safety barrier and into the valley below. 4 passengers lost their lives, yet Frane survived once again. After multiple accidents involving public transportation, he decided to rely on his own car, only to find that it wasn't any safer. In 1970, while driving, his engine suddenly burst into flames. Miraculously, he managed to jump out in time and survived, but this wasn't his only brush with fire. 3 years later, in 1973, while driving another car, the fuel pump ruptured, causing yet another fire. This time, the flames were blown directly toward him through the air vents. Despite suffering burns, he once again managed to escape, as if that weren't
somebody got it out for you, bro. I don't know,
enough.
man.
In 1975, he survived being hit by a bus. Then, just a year later, he had another near-death experience when his car fell off a mountain road, plummeting 300 feet after a careless driver forced him off the road. The car exploded upon impact, but Frane managed to survive by jumping out of the vehicle's window mid-fall and landing on a tree. And by the way, he won the lottery in 2003. If you like this video, subscribe for similar ones or join my Discord to suggest another.
Ooh, my mind's here, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys like the title of the video, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, man. Thank you guys for watching, man. Hey, you guys made it through the day, man. Appreciate all love, support, man. And welcome to 3K fam chat. And guess what, man? We out, chat. We out.
Bye.